Hello and welcome to Tata Literature Live 2021, the Mumbai International Literature Festival, co-sponsored by Tata Steel and Tata Projects and powered by Godrej. Towards the end of the session, we will be taking some questions from the audience, so please do leave your questions in the comment section. Let me introduce the speakers for this talk. Author and journalist Gauri Sinh has written 4 books, among them crime thriller Drop Dead Gorgeous, and her latest in the same series is The Bollywood Affair. Joining her, we have Novoneel Chakraborty, author of 15 best-selling thriller novels, 2 e-novellas, and 1 best-selling short story collection, and his work is being translated into multiple Indian languages. Almost all his novels have debuted in the top 3 Nielsen listings across India, and much of his works have been adapted to various OTT platforms. His notable works are the Forever series and the Stranger trilogy for young adults. Selling over 1 million copies, he is one of India's most popular thriller novelists. And the chair for today's talk is Tanushree, who has written 15 novels, 12 best-selling non-fiction books, and over 500 travel tales. She is an avid reader and a traveler. Her book, Decoding the Feronia Files, is the first Indian cli-fi thriller. 2 of her books, Boots, Belts, Berets, The Girls in Green, and A Closet Full of Skeletons are being adapted into web series. So what is the recipe to write thriller books? Let's find out. Mystery is unraveled. Over to you, Tanushree.
Novel to make the readers fall for the characters, because anyway the genre is very plot heavy all the time, so it's important to create characters which are memorable and which are relatable, and also the readers love to invest in. Yeah.
Just before you end that, I would like to ask you, do you think that the genre has become quite formulaic when people have certain methods and formulas to, address the particular genre?
Yeah, you can say that, because I think anything becomes formulaic when it tries to follow success. People generally are a little skeptic about experimenting with storytelling, with narrative, with structures. I personally try to break those stereotypes in my the novels, but then again, I'm a commercial fiction writer. And one of the cons of writing commercial fiction is that you cannot experiment that much. So yeah, in a way, you're right. It has become a little formulaic, and I would love to see more experiments happening in the genre. Having said that, I also know it's how difficult it is to kind of tell a story in a refreshingly different way, because there's always a chance of the readers kind of not liking it because they are used to a certain narrative.
I agree with you there because I have seen from personal experience that novel address to a certain genre is
Yeah.
not really very acceptable to many readers. So for that tendency, I think we try to stick to a kind of, generic kind of writing. And what do you
Yes.
think about that, Gauri?
What he's talking about in terms of, formulaic writing, I think that the crime writing per se, I think we need to look at it more seriously. I don't think the world globally looks at crime writing as serious literature. I think also that there is a wonderful crime writing that exists, and it's very well done. So, and also in terms of formulaic stuff, globally, there is a lot of experimenting being done. So I would disagree with Novoneel when I don't think it is that formulaic right now. I think there's a lot of, for instance, abroad there is psychological fiction, crime fiction, and there is a lot of this whole thing of introspecting into the mind of the character, right? And even when you talk about characters themselves, they've come out with, and these are all global bestsellers I'm talking about. Like, for instance, Gone Girl, which went on to a movie later. And, even in terms of, say, the characters themselves, you have an older woman almost with Alzheimer's trying to solve a mystery. I think that's a great device. So most certainly, I think there has been experimentation going on in crime fiction, and I think there's scope for a lot of crime fiction experimenting even going forward. So I would not say that it is formulaic, and I think the world needs to look at crime fiction with greater respect.
I just wanted to say,
You're
yeah,
right.
I mean, I agree with Gauri on that part, but I was talking from India per se, not
Correct,
globally.
correct. Yes.
Globally, obviously, there are a lot of experiments happening, Swedish thrillers, Japanese thrillers, all the Nordic, they have their own structure and they bring so
Absolutely.
much culturally into that crime genre. But in India, that experiment is missing for sure. And that's what I feel, having read some of the crime novels which came out. Yeah.
Perhaps it's time for us to step a little ahead and be bold enough to bring in that twist and little deviation and a little experimentation, I guess. But just one little question before I go to the next one. Gauri, do you think there are any successful, secret ingredients for a successful crime book?
Tanushree, I actually wanted to say, when you think of a successful ingredient for a successful crime book, you first think, what is a successful crime book? And, as all reading, this is individual, right? It's a matter of perspective. So I feel a successful crime book is one, for me personally, a whodunit is one that keeps you guessing. The suspense carries on. It's not necessary that it takes you to the end, because that is the writer's device, right? It may not give you suspense till the end, but it keeps you hooked. So the secret ingredient there would absolutely be craftsmanship, the attention to detail, the little minutiae, the twists and turns, plotting, all that. It is always craftsmanship. Talking about I can give you my own example. Both my two crime thriller books, Drop Dead Gorgeous and A Bollywood Affair, the latest one, I have used the formula of a newspaper front page. So you have glamour and you have crime. Now, I'm not saying both these are the way to go, but they are my secret ingredient. Secret is no, I don't know, because I'm now talking about it at Tata Literature Live with you guys. But those are my ingredients. But even there, you need craftsmanship. So overall, craftsmanship, especially for crime writing, is extremely essential, I would say. Won't you agree, Novoneel?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just to add one minor thing to what Gauri very aptly said is, to define that craftsmanship, what I've realized, writing a crime novel or a thriller novel is so much about playing with information in front of the readers, how
Correct.
much you hold back when you release the information, when you don't release it, or what aspect of the information you're releasing it, that defines your not only structure and narrative, but also how you're hooking the reader, as Gauri rightly said, and how for how long you are hooking the reader. So yeah, I mean, it's so much about you can, for example, not demeaning it, but you can write a romance without having a great craftsmanship over your, writing. But writing a crime novel, you better know the crafts well, or it will show. When the reader will read, it will show that you don't know.
Absolutely. I think not that I want to say anything against crime, romance or any other genre,
Absolutely.
but crime writing, I think, really challenges a writer. The red herrings and the cliffhangers mean so much there. that, you got to scatter them very, very judiciously.
And the main
Now
challenge,
coming,
sorry, Tanushree, just one line. The main challenge, when it comes when you have written at least, let's say 5, 6, 7 novels, and after that, when you are, kind of getting, your own tropes are getting either repeated or you don't know where to go. So the more the books, more crime books you write, the more cornered you will feel as a writer. But that's also the time how you can, creatively challenge yourself and come out afresh.
absolutely, I agree 100% to that. And that is one of the reasons that I keep jumping from one genre to the other. I give a huge gap between a genre and the other
Right.
because I feel that it might get repetitive. That's always been my stance. Uh, Next question to Novoneel. You have had a woman protagonist in your latest book, and so has Gauri. Now, do you think that a woman protagonist fits the genre better, or is there any reason that you have opted to, have a woman protagonist?
So for me, it's
Novani?
not. Yeah, so basically, though this is my first crime novel per se. Generally, I write thrillers and romantic thrillers, but all my protagonists have been women only. And why I write from the if not the point of view of a woman, but at least keep the a woman as a protagonist. I think the kind of social design that we have. I find women are more layered because of the social design and for their own the way women are made. I think that allows me as a writer to write a lot. I don't know. I find men very boring. I don't know. I mean, it's when I sit down to write about men, I very few times I've got layers inside men, which maybe that's a limitation of mine as a storyteller. But when at the moment I start writing about women, there are so many facets that open up. Also because because the way women are made emotionally, the way the kind of dynamics they share with the society, that immediately allows you to create a lot of layers within women protagonists. So for me, it comes. I won't say it comes naturally, but I enjoy writing from being from a woman protagonist point of view rather than a male one.
So it's never been difficult for you to peep into the feminine, mind.
Yeah, but then I get this question a lot, but I think what I believe in is that all creative people are androgynous somewhere. When I sit down, I think I connect to my feminine energy more than the masculine energy in me. That's what I've felt over the years. you know so when I express, it comes that way. And a lot of women also tell me that, how do you know women well? I think it's just that feminine thing inside me that is more awakened when I write, when I creatively express myself. Maybe that's the reason. I mean, that's the best answer that I could have digged for myself.
And what about you, Gauri? Do you think a woman protagonist works better?
I wouldn't say works better. I love what Novoneel said about, that's the wonder of being a writer. You don't have to be a woman to write about women and write about them knowingly. But for me, women, also, I think I introduced women to break that mold of the iconic male detective. I'm not saying the one or two books, but they're always, all your iconic detectives are male, whether it's a Sherlock Holmes or whether it's a Hercule Poirot, they're just always male. And I wanted to somehow bring in glamorous female, my novels are set in the 1990s. But to get women who, oops, I think there's some issue happening. Sorry, guys, if I suddenly go off because there's something happening to my computer right now. Sorry. So I was saying, for me, also in terms of crime novels, um, women are always being portrayed as victims, always as victims. And for me, I wanted to bring in women, especially in my latest book, The Bollywood Affair, as being powerful. So you have the central character who's a superstar. He is, adulated. He has power. He has money, but he is vulnerable. He is going to people who are supposedly the weaker, the women, for help. So I wanted to turn that on its head, the whole victimhood of women thing. And that's one of the reasons I did introduce strong women characters, not just women characters, but strong women characters.
I think that's a great effort. And, I have always admired women protagonists. And I think they can go a long way where a male can't because of certain, prejudices. They have been deprived of that opportunity. So it's very great that you people are, sort of bringing that out. Now, Novoneel, coming back to the feminine side, like you said, the yin and yang, I remember you chose a woman's name as your first pseudonym when you wrote your first book for Wattpad. It was
Yeah.
Elizabeth Hill.
Ellie.
And I have wondered why you did that, because I have always heard of women choosing a man's name as a pseudonym. Like we have your such famous novelists who have
Yeah.
written under the male pseudonyms, uh,
Yeah.
people who have been really famous. So, what made you do that?
So mine was very simple. One specific reason was that that book on Wattpad was an erotica, and I didn't want to use my name because I wanted other people to read it without knowing that I was writing it. And when I did a little bit of kind of unofficial research on the subject of erotica and who all are writing, I think women are writing the best eroticas right now. I haven't read any male erotica writer whom I loved. So I thought might as well, play with that and, choose a woman name. Maybe that will work for me. So that was the only reason. I just wanted, people not to get jinxed. Oh, what a male will, how a male will write in erotica and all those things. So I just chose a woman, and I felt comfortable also expressing it. And also that erotica was from the point of view of two women. So yeah, that was the only reason. I just thought maybe people will accept a woman erotica writer because they are writing it so well compared to a male erotica writer.
Great. Gauri, you have been a lifestyle editor for quite a while, and you've seen the glamour world from close range. You know what goes on behind the scenes. So, was that a reason for you to, sort of use the glamour world as a background for your books?
Not just, you're right. Definitely, I was a lifestyle editor in the 1990s, and I had the opportunity to look at the glamour world up close and personal. But it wasn't the only reason. As a writer, I feel authenticity of atmosphere and setting is so important. I'm not saying you have to be living that setting as a writer. It's possible, and that's the wonder again of being a writer, to transport your audiences into other worlds. But I was lucky enough to have lived that setting, not just as a lifestyle editor, but as a model in the 1990s, as part of the glamour world. So I thought that was a value add to my readers, that I could bring that authenticity of setting of the 1990s, of the model world, and take it and put it into books set in popular culture of the 1990s, especially to combat all the grimness around right now, the pandemic and everything. Transport the readers to another world, a world which was simpler and more glamorous, as you say. So yes, lifestyle editor, but also because I was a model. And that was because of the authenticity of setting I provided.
Yes, when you have a first-hand information about a place or a setting or a kind of a lifestyle, it does bring authenticity to the entire background. Like I have tried it, and in fact, my series on the crime has a setting which is a fictional place called Ramsar. But I have stayed in a Himalayan town, and it really helped me bring the whole nuances of the place into the story. Now, next question is that we have been seeing a lot of demand for crime fiction on OTT platform. So does it somehow, affect your writing, Novoneel, especially since you have been writing a lot for OTT? So I just wondered if you really have that at the back of your mind while penning a book.
No, the least I can do to my creation is not get affected by creation in a different medium, because I've worked in the OTT, and it's a writing a script is a completely different craft compared to writing a novel, and the storytelling may not necessarily be the same, because obviously one, you're writing a book which is more of a personal experience for a reader, and the other is a visual medium. But I think the onset of a lot of people wanting to tell crime stories visually through OTT medium is also because they have a certain structure to it. and crime novels are the most plot heavy novels, so they have their hook points, how they, it's a very technical thing, and that's why people know if they have to give a hook at mid-season drop or a season drop, it will only happen during either a crime novel or a thriller novel. So maybe that's why people are tilting towards novels which have either a high concept or a novel which is a plot heavy novel, rather than, because it's very difficult. I think writing everything is difficult, but it is more difficult to write a show which is completely character based, because then you cannot, it's very difficult to engage a viewer visually when you write a very character based thing, because so many other factors also play a role. Which actor is going to play it, how he or she is going to perform it. It's not just what you are writing is going to be consumed by the viewers. It has its own steps to it, right? So maybe that's why I think one of the major reasons is the plot centric writing in OTT shows.
Has it in any way helped you while writing a book? Because if you're aware of those tent poles and the other the entire rigmarole that goes into OTT writing, it would help you somewhere while writing a book, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I've not thought about it with a conscious mind. Maybe it has, maybe it has not. I don't know. Maybe subconsciously somewhere, by the only golden rule which I feel is common between novels and writing a crime OTT show is that by the end of every chapter, you should hit a wall. So likewise, by the end of every episode, you should hit a wall, in the sense that you as a writer, and therefore the readers and the other viewers, basically, they will not know what's going to happen next. So that element, what's going to happen next, the unpredictability could be the only common thing between writing crime thriller novels and shows. Other than that, I don't think there's anything much common to it, because it's a completely different process and a team is involved in it.
I have been sent some questions, so I think we'll just take up the questions from people. And so the first question is from Ravi Raj Kumar. To all the writers for mystery novels and crime novels, do you always have to know the end before you begin? Do you have to have the plot, the entire novel before you begin writing, he says?
Gauri, you want to take that?
No, you go ahead, because I missed the first part of the question again.
Okay.
You want me to repeat it?
No, let Novoneel answer.
Okay, Novoneel.
So basically, in my journey, in my experience of writing novels, I have different experiences. That I have written novels whose ending I knew. In fact, that was one of the first thing that was in my mind, and then I started, knitting the story reverse. I have written thrillers with just one scene in mind, which kind of excited me so much as to start exploring that scene and create a novel out of it. And I've also written thriller novels with just intuitive writing, where I didn't know much about the plot, but I knew the character. Obviously, you have to know something. You have to know either the character or the plot. So I knew the character, and I went and sat and started writing and followed the intuitive writing process. And that turned out to be a novel. So I followed all the things, because I don't think there can be one diktat when you are sitting expressing yourself creatively. Whatever comes naturally to you and whatever you think is instinctively you feel right, I think one should follow that. So I generally don't follow diktat for my storytelling at all.
Very rightly said, because even I don't know the end many times.
Yeah,
so
we figured it out.
I go, along with the intuitively,
Yeah.
go along with it. So there is a question from Junie Bose. Gauri, would you like to answer this? Do you ever take inspiration from real life crimes and unsolved mysteries? What is the role of research in your writing?
So that's two parts, actually. Real life crimes, no, not really. Though I have a lot of crime journalists friends, and they do a lot of crime writing. So I don't personally, but research, absolutely so. For the very little, for the minutiae, as I said, because there will always be some reader somewhere, especially in crime writing, in most crime writing, who will suddenly come up and say, but this did not fit in with this. So it has to be researched extremely meticulously, especially if you're doing a procedural novel. Not so much when it's in your head, but if you're doing like a police procedure novel, And if it has to do with designations, or if it has to do with certain times or ways police tackle certain events, you have to do the legwork. You have to speak to the right people. And I have done that, whether I spoke to crime journalists, whether I spoke to police people, because I was a journalist and I had that access. But I have put in that. You have to do it. So yes, definitely research.
Yeah, I agree with the point, because I have some people I know whom I refer to for all these details. The next question is from Sonali Gore. Are there any mystery writers that have been your heroes? Which has been your favorite mystery novel? Novoneel, would you go for that?
Hero, I don't know. Again, my feminine side is taking over. Heroine, definitely Agatha Christie. I think nobody can beat her. The work that she has done is just, I don't know. I mean, I don't think in another 200 years another Agatha Christie will come. It's already 100 years. But and most of her works, the ABC Murders is coming to my mind because I've read them in school, in college. So all the plots are not coming to me right now. But the ABC Murder I clearly remember was something which I was had blown me over when I read her. So yeah, if there's one crime writer who is the heroine, it has to be Agatha Christie.
And the next question is from Mohsin Iqbal. Why are murder mysteries and crime novels always set in glamorous worlds? Why don't writers delve into worlds that are not well known, he says?
I think there are a lot of crime novels, no, set like that.
Yeah,
Also
yeah.
in worlds,
I mean,
yeah.
I think the glam world is less, honestly speaking.
Absolutely. I actually decided to set it in the glam world because to divert from what is.
Yeah.
Because you have so many CD settings and lesser known things.
Correct.
Tanushree,
Agreed.
your novels are also set in smaller places, hill stations.
Yeah, I have never set any of my novels in the glamour world.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because that's all there in the page 3 and things like that. Anyway, so I don't know whether we have time for another question. There is a quick one. Reshma Shetty asks, can we hope to have some long-running detective series from India with a detective character that stand the test of time, like Sherlock Holmes? Quick one. Who'll take it?
I'm not a clairvoyant, so I don't think I'll be able to answer it. I mean,
And
how do you
I think
answer
I will
something?
quickly go add to what Novoneel has said and say that depends on our audiences. To make the character iconic, they have to buy the books. So please buy the books.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I endorse that.
Yeah.
Please go and read more. Please read more writers from India. And I think with that, though, I would like to continue and I would love to ask many more questions and have the audience have their answer to. The time that we have now is running to an end. And I would invite Charvi to come back again. And in the meantime, let me say thanks to everyone, to Gauri, to Novoneel, and the Tata Lit people. And Charvi, back to you.
Thank you so much, Tanushree, Gauri, and Novoneel for this talk. And of course, a very big thank you to our audience for showing up for Mysteries Unravelled at Tata Literature Live 2021, the Mumbai International Lit Fest, co-sponsored by Tata Steel and Tata Projects and powered by Godrej. You will find Novoneel Chakraborty's book, Whisper to Me Your Lies, available with our knowledge partners at landmarkexcite.com. Tomorrow is the last day of this festival, and we have a great lineup of sessions through the day. Head to tatalitlive.in to view the full schedule. Thank you so much.